200 demons still bound beneath the earth. You've probably heard the stories of fallen angels, right? How they were cast into hell, some fiery realm far from our own. But what if I told you that one of the most detailed ancient texts on this subject describes their prison not as a distant dimension, but as a place deep within the earth itself? The story goes that for millennia, 200 of the most powerful and corrupting angels, a group known as the Watchers, have been bound in darkness right under our feet. Their prison was supposed to be eternal, a sentence for a crime that nearly wiped out humanity. But here's where it gets strange. After thousands of years of silence, a series of bizarre seismic events across the globe are starting to look uncannily like ancient prophecies that suggest their prison is weakening. Could it be that the 200 are starting to stir? And is the forbidden knowledge that once brought the world to its knees about to be unleashed once more? Section 1. The first transgression. To really get what's at stake, we have to go back to the beginning. Not to a story you'll find in most Bibles, but to one detailed in the ancient and controversial Book of Enoch. Now, this text isn't part of the biblical canon for most mainstream Jewish and Christian traditions, but it was once widely read, is still considered scripture by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and is even hinted at in the New Testament. It's the text that gives us a name and a number for the architects of humanity's first great corruption. They were called the Watchers, a legion of 200 angels sent to earth with one sacred job: watch over and guide mankind. But from their heavenly perch, they started looking at human women with lust, not guardianship. Led by chieftains named Semjaza and Azazel, these 200 beings made a pact, swearing an oath to abandon their posts and come down to take human wives. This wasn't just breaking a rule, it was a total violation of the boundary between the divine and the mortal. From these unholy unions came a new race of beings we know as the Nephilim. The Book of Enoch describes these offspring as giants, powerful, ravenous creatures who consumed everything humanity produced. And when that wasn't enough, the text claims the giants turned on people themselves, devouring their flesh and drinking their blood. The world, once a paradise, plunged into violence and chaos. Section 2. The forbidden knowledge. But the Watchers' sins went way beyond lust. They brought with them secrets from heaven, forbidden knowledge humanity was never meant to have. This is the real heart of their crime, the corruption that truly poisoned the world. One of their leaders, Azazel, taught men how to forge swords and shields, unleashing the art of warfare. He showed women how to make cosmetics and wear enchanting ornaments, introducing vanity and deception. Other Watchers taught the secrets of sorcery, astrology, and reading the signs of the stars and the moon. Think about that for a second. The story suggests that before they arrived, humanity lived in relative simplicity. The Watchers introduced organized violence, materialism, and a reliance on occult signs instead of divine guidance. They didn't just break a rule, they rewired human society, planting the seeds of pride and conflict that have defined so much of history. Section 3. The prison in the earth. The cries from a corrupted, dying world eventually reached the heavens. In response, God commanded 4 archangels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, to step in and deliver a swift, terrible judgment. Their punishment wasn't a simple death sentence. It was an imprisonment designed to last until the end of days. According to the Book of Enoch, the archangel Raphael was ordered to bind Azazel hand and foot and throw him into a pit of jagged rocks in a desert called Dudael, and there he would stay in darkness. Meanwhile, Michael was ordered to bind Semjaza and the rest of his crew. The text says they were to be bound for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, hidden away until their final judgment. And this idea isn't just in Enoch. The New Testament echoes this story. The Epistle of Jude speaks of the angels who did not keep their proper domain and are now reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Similarly, 2 Peter describes God casting sinful angels down to Tartarus, a term for a deep abyss, and delivering them into chains of darkness to be held for judgment. These canonical texts support the core idea. A group of powerful, rebellious angels were locked away in the dark places of the earth long ago. Section 4. The Prophecy of 70 Generations. Now here's the most chilling part of the prophecy from Enoch, its time limit. The Watchers were bound for 70 generations. This begs a terrifying question. How long is a generation, and when does that countdown end? This is where we get into speculative territory, but it's a question that fascinates many researchers. There's no scholarly consensus on this, but a popular theory among some prognosticators defines a biblical generation as 70 years, based on passages like Psalm 90. If you run the numbers, 70 generations multiplied by 70 years, you get a total of 4,900 years. Pinpointing the exact moment of their imprisonment is tough, but if it happened in the millennia before the Great Flood, as the texts suggest, then it's entirely possible that this 4,900-year sentence is expiring right around now in our lifetime. It's important to be clear, this calculation is a fringe interpretation, not a mainstream theological or scholarly view, but for some, the timing is just too specific to ignore. Section 5. The Earth Groans. So, if this ancient prophetic clock is ticking down, what would the signs be? The Bible, from Matthew to Revelation, points to earthquakes in diverse places as a sign of the end times. And recently, the Earth has been shaking in ways that have even scientists taking notice. In early 2025, the Greek island of Santorini was rocked by an extraordinary earthquake storm. Scientists were baffled as tens of thousands of tremors shook the region. They later attributed it to a massive, unusual movement of magma rising from deep within the Earth's crust. Around the same time, halfway across the world, Mount Rainier in the United States experienced its largest earthquake swarm in nearly 2 decades, with hundreds of small quakes clustering deep beneath the volcano. And throughout 2025, other significant seismic events have been recorded all over the globe. Let's be clear, science gives us solid geological explanations for these events, like shifting tectonic plates and magma flows, and that evidence is undeniable. But could there be more to the story? Is it possible these unusual swarms, these deep and powerful stirrings inside the Earth, are more than just geology? The prophecies foretold a great shaking. Could these be the tremors of a prison starting to crack? Are we hearing the first movements of 200 ancient beings stirring in their slumber? Let me know what you think is really behind these strange events. Section 6. A return of forbidden knowledge. If the Watchers were to be released, it probably wouldn't look like a physical invasion of monsters. Their greatest weapon was never brute force. It was knowledge. A return of the Watchers could mean a return of their corrupting influence, an intellectual and technological surge that humanity is dangerously unprepared for. Think about the forbidden knowledge from the story. Advanced weaponry, forbidden arts, and a corruption of the natural order. Now, what would a modern version of that look like? Unimaginable new weapons? A sudden, dangerous leap in genetic engineering? An explosion of artificial intelligence that we can't control? The Book of Revelation speaks of a bottomless pit being opened in the last days, unleashing a plague. While mainstream scholars don't directly link this to the 200 Watchers, some interpreters see a chilling parallel: an ancient prison being unlocked, unleashing torment on the earth. The greatest danger may not be what they would do to our bodies, but what their knowledge would do to our souls. Conclusion. The story is laid out in texts that have survived for millennia. The ancient Book of Enoch gives us a number, 200. It gives us a crime, the corruption of humanity. It gives us a location, bound in the valleys of the earth. And it gives us a timeline, 70 generations, a clock that might just be about to strike midnight. At the same time, scientific data shows us a world that is shaking, with unusual seismic events happening in volcanic regions tied to the deep, subterranean world. Ancient prophecies from multiple sources warn that earthquakes will be a sign. Is this all just a coincidence of geological unrest and ancient myth? Or are we ignoring a warning that has been echoing through the ages? The ancient texts laid out the prophecy. The earth itself might be giving us the signs. The only question left is, are we ready for what comes next? If you found this dive into forbidden history as fascinating as I do, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss where we're going next as we uncover the ancient secrets hiding just beneath the surface of our world.